better it could be than to discuss about wetland birds on the occasion of World Wetlands Day 2021. As the name suggests, wetland birds or water birds could be any group of birds that live in and around a water body. Now, such water bodies provide different kinds of habitat in the form of marine, brackish, as well as freshwater ecosystems. There is a huge variation in the size of such water bodies, starting from a small pond in our backyard to large mass of water in the form of lakes and wetlands. Whenever speaking about wetlands, we might have one common picture in our mind, which is Dipperbill, and also the only Ramsar site in Assam. Apart from Dipperbill, there are hundreds of wetlands in various protected and non-protected areas in the state, such as the largest wetland, which is Sonbill in the Barak Valley, Kapla Bill in Barpeta district, famous reservoirs, water reservoirs, which are Gori Sagars and Rudra Sagars in Sibsagar district, to Soreshwar Bill in Dhubri district. We have a diverse and huge potential of water resources and water bodies that harbors hundreds of water birds every winter in our state. Now, all these water birds rely on water bodies mostly for two purposes. One is for feeding, other is for nesting. Water birds can be grouped into several categories on the basis of their selection of habitats and preferred food intake. As we know, aquatic habitats harbors a very rich food resources in the form of plankton, aquatic vegetation, as well as diverse group of prey animals starting from insects to worms, fishes to frogs, as well as mollusks to snakes. Depending on the availability of aquatic food resources, the congregation and richness of water birds also vary from habitat to habitat. There are vegetarian group of water birds such as bar-headed goose, grey-leg goose, which mostly rely on aquatic vegetation growing in the water body or the adjoining areas. There are omnivorous group of water birds as well, which take both animal as well as plant matter as their food intake, such as fulvous whistling duck, ruddy-shelled duck. And also there is a third group of water birds which mostly rely on the animal matter and are considered as the carnivorous animals, such as the fish eagles, Pallas's fish eagle, graded fish eagle, and also osprey, which mostly feed upon the fish of these water bodies. Depending on the seasonal Depending on the seasonality, water birds could be of two different types, resident and migrant. The resident water birds are those which remain throughout the year and breed in a particular locality close by a water body, and includes mostly the water hens, whistling ducks, egrets, cormorants, darters, kingfishers, herons, storks, and other group of water birds. Now, whenever speaking about water hens, the most common water hen we get in our area is the white-breasted water hen, which we call in Assamese as dauk. There are some other water hens which are mostly found in some protected areas such as Irutian moorhen and Byzantal jacana, bronzing jacana. But white-breasted water hen we can also find in our backyard or backyard ponds. Whistling ducks, we have two species, the lesser whistling duck and the fulvous whistling duck, and both of them are known as the Horaliha in Assamese. We have four different species of egrets. The cattle egret, the most common, foraging along with our cattle in various fields, agricultural lands, and of course the wetlands. There are three other different species of egrets, which are little egret that mostly prefers the water bodies and tries to remain solitary, and also the intermediate egret that can be seen in rivers, wetlands, and other sort of marshes. There is the largest egret, that is the great egret, which prefers mostly the wetlands and can be seen in large river systems such as the mighty Brahmaputra. Similarly, we have only one darter species, and darters are also known as the snake birds because of its elongated neck and the foraging strategy or foraging behavior of this bird. We have different species of kingfishers which are resident and also considered the water birds, such as white-breasted kingfisher, which can be found in our backyard and also in the protected areas. We have stock-billed kingfisher, we have small blue kingfisher, blue-eared kingfisher, crested kingfisher, orient, then oriental dwarf kingfisher, pied kingfisher. All these kingfishers are very common. Apart from them, we have two different kingfishers which are a bit rare, that are black-capped kingfisher and ruddy kingfisher. And also we have herons. The most common heron, we are speaking of the Indian pond heron. In Brahmaputra plains there is other heron also, which is the Chinese pond heron, and they are very difficult to differentiate during non-breeding season. Only during breeding season the Indian pond heron and Chinese pond heron can be differentiated based on their plumage pattern. Similarly, we also have different groups of storks that belong to family Ciconidae. The storks most common in our area are the open bill, which we call Hamukkola or Hamukbhonga, lesser adjutant, and the mighty greater adjutant. The greater adjutant are known as Hargilla and lesser adjutant are known as Bortokola. Similarly, we have a different group of water birds which are migrants, and they mostly migrate from northern hemisphere during winter to different water bodies of our state in order to avoid the harsh environmental condition of their native breeding ground and also to utilize the abundant food resources of our region. Most commonly found water birds, which are migrant water birds, can be grouped into two broad categories. One belong to order Anceriformes, that includes ducks and geese, and the other is the Charatriformes, that includes mostly the shorebirds. Let's discuss about ducks and geese. Ducks could be any Anatridae starting from mallards, gadwalls, pintails, shovelers, widgeons, and the geese we have are bar-headed goose, grey-leg goose, lesser white-fronted goose, and greater white-fronted goose. Bar-headed goose and grey-leg goose are a bit common in our area. On the other hand, white-fronted, greater white-fronted goose and lesser white-fronted goose, they are very rare and can be seen only at certain places. On the other hand, the other order includes the Charatriformes, which are commonly known as shorebirds. As the name suggests, shorebirds means they don't prefer the open water bodies, but they always remain on the shores of different water bodies for foraging and other activities. Now, water birds can be categorized into common and rare depending upon their abundance. The common water birds, as we speak about the whistling ducks, egrets, cormorants, these are the common water birds and can be found abundantly in different parts of the region. Similarly, there are rare water birds in terms of their encounter rate as well as abundance. And also, IUCN has categorized their population to be declining globally. Such as we have lesser adjutant, greater adjutant. Both of them are threatened. The lesser adjutant being vulnerable and greater adjutant being the endangered species of water birds found in our region. There could be other ways to classify the water birds, one based on their behavior or their lifestyle, which are solitary and flock. The solitary water birds, they usually remain in small group or singly, such as osprey, kingfishers, and some of the storks, such as uh, black stork or blackneck stork. And flocking water birds could be uh, any sort of other water birds. It could be from from family Anatridae or other shorebirds, which can form a group of hundred to thousands of individuals flock, and these are very common in our all these water birds. Let's observe all these water birds in different parts of our wetlands and help in monitoring them. I wish. Thank you.